The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Welcome to Behind the Law and happy weekend to you. We have an exciting show ahead. I will do it as always. To my left, my beautiful co-host, Michaela Nichols. Hello, Michaela. How are you?
Great.
Here's what's coming up. You've read the stories about Orlando being the most dangerous city maybe in America for pedestrians. Have you heard that?
I have not.
We're about to hear about it. What about for cyclists as well? And what happens? I mean, do you have to be in a crosswalk? Not if you're a cyclist. Do you ride on the sidewalk on the road? These are all great questions, and who better to ask than Michael Mills about that? Michael's a great lawyer, we know that too, but also an avid cyclist. I want to know, who has the right of way? Pedestrians, people driving the car, bicyclists? I simply don't know.
I don't either, clearly.
We're going to find that out. Also, it's tax season. And during tax season, a lot of people that are going through a divorce or have been through a divorce, they don't really know how to file taxes, who claims what. We're going to answer those questions as well. Are you ready?
I am.
Here's what we're going to do. Very quick break. When we return, Behind the Law continues. Your debt does not have to control your life. You have the power to potentially lower or even eliminate your debt. I'm attorney Justin Clark. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Here we are, Michaela and I, one of my favorite places in all of Central Florida. One of my favorite things to do is axe throwing. It's so much fun. I love it. There's only one place we go, though.
Yeah.
Obviously, Stumpy's Hatchet House. Its owners are here, Matthew, Estella. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Axe throwing in general. Some people have never tried it. Why should we?
Why not? I mean, it's a great time. We have a great place here, wonderful staff. We have a wonderful beer selection. It's just good times all around.
And this place feels unbelievably homey to me. It feels cozy. It feels like I'm transported into a cabin in North Carolina or Montana or something. How did you create this?
Well, it came with a lot of hard work, some busted fingers, and a lot of trial and error. Yeah. We a lot of the natural woodwork in here. Actually, all the natural woodwork was done by myself and one other person.
And a lot of people don't think about corporate events. They think corporate events. Oh, what restaurant am I going to rent out? What ballroom? What a great place to have a corporate event, a corporate meeting.
Yeah, it's we have TVs in here, so we do have ways that if you want to do a presentation of any kind, we can accommodate that. We have a PA system, so if you even want to do a tournament with a nice, let's get this thing going and rile up the crowd, you can. We even let it to where we have a free jukebox that you can come in, pick any music you like. It's great. You have a good time.
Out.
If you haven't been axe throwing yet, come to Stumpy's Hatchet House right now, or if you have a meeting coming up, Stumpy's Hatchet House is a place for you. Have you been threatened by the IRS? You are not helpless. You have the power to fight wage garnishments and fight levies on your accounts. I'm Justin Clark. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Welcome back to the show. I've often been frustrated at times, and Michaela can tell you this, it's not a lie, that, all right, you have a nice sidewalk, right? Why are we jogging down the street in the middle of the road? I don't know. You'd think you'd be on the sidewalk, but I'm not judging. I'm not. But it has been frustrating to me.
Sounds
a little bit
does.
judgmental. But you always hear the pedestrian always has the right of way. What about bicyclists? And can bicyclists be on the sidewalk? Should they be in the road? And as drivers of cars, what do we need to watch out for? I mean, obviously we don't want to hit them, but what happens when something like that does indeed happen? Michael Mills is not only one of our favorite attorneys in town, also an avid cyclist. Mike, how are you, buddy?
Doing great. How are you?
Great, but I don't know who has the right of way. I literally don't. And can I ride my bike on the sidewalk? Do I have to be in the middle of the road? I don't know.
So it sounds to me like you're one of those drivers that
I'm not aggressive.
Comes up behind me and honks the horn really hard.
You're looking at the wrong
I go like a
makes
mile
me
to the
want to
left.
go over into the ditch or something and die.
Not me.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I mean, look, if
He might be lying.
Here's the only thing with cyclists. It seems like it's always not just you. It's you and 30 of your closest friends.
Well, yeah.
Leaving Starbucks
There's
on Saturday morning.
Numbers.
And so I am behind you. I'm not honking, but I am thinking like, oh.
Okay.
Oh.
So this is it. We're on road bikes.
Right.
Road being the
Yes.
key word there. So we need to be in the road. We're typically going anywhere from 18 to 25 plus miles an hour. That's hard to do on the sidewalk.
Right.
First, it's unsafe because sidewalks have a lot of dips and they also have pedestrians. You don't want to be riding 25 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour with pedestrians, kids, dogs, and everything else. That's one of the reasons that you might see a trail next to the road, but we're still in the road because we're typically going at a higher speed. Now, while we're in the road, we should be obeying all of the traffic rules that apply to vehicles that are also driving in the road. That means that we should stop at the stoplights and stop signs and making sure that we abide by all of the traffic laws.
Do you find that most bicyclists will stop at the stop signs? I don't think so. I mean, it's okay.
If I'm being honest,
yeah, of course.
Although we should, a lot of times we don't, especially if there's no cars coming, because it takes so much, especially if it's a group of us, it takes a lot for us to get back going again.
Right.
So typically the people in the front should stop, slow down, make sure there's no oncoming cars or vehicles. If there are cars approaching the stop signs, then we usually will come to a stop because we don't know whether or not they're going to blow through the stop sign or if they're going to stop and give us the chance to go ahead and proceed.
I mean, I can see stopping as a group at a red light, but the stop sign would be tough for every single person to stop, and you'd never reconnect, I guess, at that point either.
It's, as we go, it's kind of like a train. If you think about a train, it takes a lot for us to come to a dead stop, especially if it's a big group of us.
Right.
And then getting going again, it also takes a lot. So at a stop, at a red light, we definitely come to a stop, or should. And then yellow lights, we may proceed through because with 30 plus riders behind us, it's safer for us to just keep going through a yellow light than to come to a stop because, and with another thing with cyclists, things that vehicles don't have to think about, like potholes or debris or maybe some glass or a palm tree or a branch or whatever. Those are things that could spell disaster for us.
For sure. So
we have to definitely look out for that. And if you may see a bike lane, and we're still in the actual car lane, that's typically because there's either debris, because when there's bike lanes, everything gets pushed over into the bike lane. So if there's broken glass or if there's tree limbs or whatever the case is, just from the cars driving in the road, it gets pushed over into the bike lane. And so for us to avoid that, we are allowed to come over into the lane of travel for the vehicles so that we can be safe.
Now, you see a lot of, we just came out of Bike Week, right? Not that kind of bike, but like Harley Davidson Bike Week. And you see a lot of personal injury attorneys setting up a tent there at Bike Week, acting like, oh, I'm a big motorcycle guy, when in reality they're not. They're doing it for marketing, and that's fine. Do whatever you got to do. You are actually a cyclist. I mean, you have a real inside view of what goes on with actual cyclists, and you've seen many cyclists who have been injured, and you've helped them through that.
Absolutely.
How dangerous are the streets of Central Florida when it comes to cycling or pedestrians?
They're pretty dangerous. It's getting better. What's important to note is just kind of educating the public that we do have a right to be in the road, because a lot of the motorists assume that because we're on the bike, we shouldn't be on the road. We get the birds flicked at us. Get on the sidewalk. What are you doing? Get out of the road. And like I said, we're going like 20, 25 plus miles an hour.
Right.
That's not safe. It feels really fast to us, but like the other day I was driving in my car and just trying to stay at 20, 25 miles an hour. I'm like, man, this is like really slow in a car.
Yeah.
But when you're on a bike, it's pretty fast.
Moving.
Yeah.
That's
so,
flying.
The wind, all of it.
The wind, yes. It's very exhilarating. But like I was saying, we have the right to be in the road, and actually, Under Florida statute, motorists are supposed to give us at least 3 feet of space.
Oh.
You might see some cyclists with jerseys that say 3 feet. That means we have to be given 3 feet of space. That means if we're in the lane, you need to get over into probably the inner lane to go around us. And we do certain things so that we can either occupy the full lane, so that it makes it safer for us and safer for the drivers, because if we don't, a lot of drivers might just try to just barely skirt by. One, that's startling to us. Two, it could be pretty detrimental if they misjudge the distance, either clip us or whatever. That's how a lot of these accidents happen. And for us, an accident on a bike versus a car, we lose every single time.
Yeah, very, very quickly. And by all means, if you've been injured in a bicycle accident, you're a pedestrian, you've been hit by a car, or any sort of motor vehicle accident whatsoever, Michael Mills is here to help right now. 321-282-1055. And, you know, Mike, just when we figure out, okay, we have a statute, we're going to keep cars 3 feet from bikes, we decided we want to create the electric bike. And so for a real bicyclist perspective, you're there pedaling. Now people are staring at me right now wondering what I'm going to say. I can already feel them staring at me. Now the dude doesn't have to pedal. Let's be honest here. He's on a bicycle. He doesn't have to pedal it. What do we think of these guys?
As a cyclist, I have a certain, just a little bit of disdain as he goes cruising by up a hill, barely sweating. But, you know, it allows them to be able to, and a man, woman, older person, younger person, you know, whatever, it allows them to be able to enjoy cycling when they're at a fitness level that might not otherwise enable them to do so. So, you know, to each their own.
That was very politically correct of you.
That was really well said.
That's what I do.
But it's probably true. You're right. I mean, but if you see a guy who's 25, looks like he could play linebacker for the Patriots on one of those, you're like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I don't typically see that. So it's usually it's usually folks that are either one, just getting into cycling, or two, just trying to get, because it's kind of electrical assist, so they still have to pedal, they still put in some work. It allows them to go to longer distances and get that exercise in, and still be out there on the road.
Go ahead, please. One
other thing while we're talking about this, I always recommend that any cyclist, especially if they own a vehicle, it's super, super important that they have uninsured motorist coverage on their policy. That is so key, because that policy, uninsured motorist coverage on your auto insurance policy, still covers you should you be out there on the road riding and you are hit by a car.
That's unbelievable. And I don't think I even knew that. So I imagine a lot of times if someone hits a cyclist, they might not even stop, or especially if it's nighttime, they're going to take off. And what do you do at that point? You can't do anything. But you're telling me if you have a UM policy on your policy for your car at home, you can be covered. That can be huge. How does that work? How does that step in and help you?
So, in two ways. Actually, the same way it works with the vehicle. If you're riding on your bike and you are hit by a vehicle, and their coverage is either not enough, maybe they only have $10,000, the bare minimum in bodily injury coverage, or they may not have any coverage at all. If they only have the bare minimum of $10,000 in coverage, and we're able to obtain that amount for your injuries, then your uninsured motorist coverage steps into their shoes with whatever amount of coverage you have. If they don't have any coverage, then your uninsured motorist coverage steps in right away, and then we can place a claim against your uninsured motorist coverage for whatever your injuries are.
That could be huge. What about pedestrians? Does it ever step in and help them?
Same thing goes for pedestrians, runners, anything that's vehicle related. Your uninsured motorist coverage can step into shoes if you are injured when you're in a vehicle or when you're by a vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's unbelievable advice for someone out there who owns a car whatsoever, and you're talking to your insurance agent. You've got to check that box for UM coverage, whether it's you're driving a car, you're running down the street, you're riding your bicycle. I mean, that is huge.
And a lot of agents don't educate the public about their options and how they can better cover themselves in these types of situations.
I feel like I could do 2 hours with you today on this. The time just flew by. Michael Mills, is always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And if you've been injured at all, any sort of accident whatsoever, literally he's our go-to guy when it comes to personal injury. The best of the best. You talk about service. It's very important when you've been injured. This is a life-changing moment. You need a lawyer who you can talk to, a lawyer who you can trust. Michael Mills is your guy. 321-282-1055. Behind the Law continues.
Have you been threatened by the IRS? You are not helpless. You have the power to fight wage garnishments and fight levies on your accounts. I'm Justin Clark. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life.
If you own a house, it is your most valuable possession. You need to know what windows you have. Why don't you think about your windows? Do you have any idea that your windows really dictate your electricity bill every single month? There's one place to turn in this community for windows in your house, and it's certainly Renewal by Andersen. Dan Brigman joins me. You're family to me at this point. Let's be honest. I love you. I love your family. But the Renewal by Andersen family is what makes you so trustworthy. The culture there, it's a family.
Absolutely, Justin. And by the way, glad to be here. And yeah, it's our people, it's our process, it's our product, but it's our people more than anything. When we come out to your house, it's all about you. It's about we're going to treat your home as if it's our own. We're going to do the same with your family.
I put a QR code on the screen for you, and Dan is offering you an unbelievable deal today. If you go to the QR code, you're going to send an email. What do they get?
Man, they get, you buy one window, get 40% off the next, almost unheard of. We're excited.
Unbelievable. And then you talk about the electricity bill, because windows, I don't think people understand how important the windows are to the electricity bill every month, and the electricity bills are skyrocketing.
It's extremely important, and glass in your house takes up over 25% of the square footage of your wall space in your home. So that's the equivalent of one full wall in your house. Imagine sun hitting that all day long and all of that heat coming in.
A lot of people think window replacement would be very expensive. Sometimes we can do it for free. When you think about monthly payment over time, no interest, the money you save on your electricity bill, it's free.
Absolutely. By the time you put all the factors together, the energy savings, the curb appeal, the resale value, all of these things just add up. And then you got the financing that we have going on right now. Zero interest, 2.9, things that you just don't see anymore.
It's unbelievable. If you own a house, thank you, Dan, as always. If you own a house, you need to send us a message right now. You will not be disappointed. Renewal by Andersen. Welcome back to the show. It is tax season. Tax season is weird because it seems like most people that are W-2 employees love tax season. February 1st, they're like doing a dance because they're going to get a tax refund. Most of you that are self-employed, talk to me in September, October. They file extensions because they typically owe money. But what about if you're going through a divorce? Have you ever thought about how you deal with taxes as you go through a divorce? It's a good question, right? And it creates a lot of fights, I know, during divorce cases. Our favorite family law attorney, way taller than me, of course, which I still like him, though. But, I still like you, which is a very good thing. Yeah. Kene Anusionwu is here. Kene, how you been, man? Good to see you.
I've been good, thank you.
It's been 2 or 3 months since we saw you. Thanks for coming back. But you do a lot of family law. You handle a lot of family law cases.
That's correct.
How do we deal with this tax issue, these tax fights, when people are going through a divorce?
That's a good question, Justin. Thank you for having me again.
Of course.
Happy New Year to you and to everybody. Taxes, everybody wants to fight over it in family law. And a lot of times people don't realize it might not be worth fighting over, because actually what you get in a refund could affect what you pay in child support. So for instance, if you're the one that's supposed to be paying child support, the way Florida statutes and the software calculates it, if you claim a child, that raises up your income, which in turn will require you to pay more in child support. So whenever you are determining if you want to claim a child or not, you definitely need to talk to your attorney and have them figure that out in advance. Will me claiming a child affect what I pay in child support, and is it worth it? Have that as a bargaining tool when you're in mediation to figure out whether or not you want to let the other parent claim so that you pay less in child support, a cost-benefit analysis.
So what I'm hearing is sometimes the ex or almost ex is like, oh, I'm claiming the children. And you can almost use that as leverage, like, okay, yeah, go ahead, but it's actually helping me out.
Exactly, if you understand.
Yeah.
Or it's a great bargaining chip to get something in return to give that up. A lot of the times people think it means a lot, and sometimes it may mean nothing. Especially if you have a certain amount of children you can already claim. Right? There's a maximum of children you can claim to actually get a benefit from claiming 1 or 2 children that you're fighting over.
So let's say that there's one parent who doesn't make a lot of money. The other parent makes a significant amount of money, but the children spend more time with the parent not making a lot of money, but the person making the money's spending the most money on the kids. How do you determine who claims them at that point? If my question made any sense whatsoever.
It does make sense, and that depends. It depends what tax bracket they're in. It depends if they have other children they can claim, and it depends on if they owe back child support to other children or children in the case that I'm representing them in. Those are factors you have to weigh. So for instance, if they owe back child support in the case that I'm representing them in, then I tell them, hey, if you claim, let's figure out how much you would get back potentially every year and see if it's a benefit to you to get that debt erased by claiming this child. So that's something that we also weigh. And then you have to look at, do they need a passport? Do they owe back child support? If you owe more than $2,500 and you don't have a passport, there's a restriction on getting a new one. If you owe more than $2,500 in child support arrears, and the arrears have been established. So we look at that and we say, okay, if you claim, will that debt be erased by 1 year of claiming a child? But the money that you get in a refund goes directly to the mother or father, whoever it is, that you owe child support to for child support arrears. So there's a lot of things you have to weigh when making a decision on that.
I didn't know that at all. So let's talk about the IRS a little bit, because it seems like when you have husband and wife together, you're going to be together forever, we're soulmates, and then ultimately the relationship breaks down, but you sort of confide in one another while you're together, and maybe there's one spouse who is cheating with the IRS or maximizing returns, let's say. Absolutely. And then as the relationship breaks down, one of them was cheating or whatever, they're always going to say, not always, but sometimes they're going to say, you were cheating the IRS, I'm going to go tell on you, I'm going to file a claim with the IRS right now. Do you ever hear that, and what ultimately happens with that?
I hear that all the time. Most of the time, in my experience, nothing happens. However, I advise my clients to go and make sure you sit with a tax professional, because there's something that will allow a person who's completely not involved in fraud have like an innocent spouse designation, where the spouse who actually did the wrongdoing is responsible for anything that comes along with that return that they filed. Also, when we go to mediation, we address those issues, generally speaking. So if they're going through a divorce, we say, for this tax year, you claim on your own, I claim on my own. And then we claim this child, we claim this child. These assets and debts will be addressed in a return. Ultimately, you don't want a person to be damaged by someone else's wrongdoing, especially when you're going through litigation. So we try to address that in the forefront. And if we can't, then we make sure a tax professional helps them address that. And we have the language in the MSA, or we ask the judge to put certain language in the final judgment that can be presented to the IRS to determine why certain debts and wrongdoing should be the responsibility of one person over the other. Because a marital unit, usually they file a joint return. That's generally responsibility.
Sure.
But you don't want both parties to be responsible for the wrongdoing of one.
How long are these divorce cases taking right now?
If there's children and there's assets, you're looking at least 6 months to a year, minimum. And with the judges constantly changing, and there's actually a shortage in Orange County, they're looking for a new judge to fill in a division. So that's slowing things down too.
And I'm seeing hearing times even taking months and months and months just to get a hearing date. It's pretty insane out there.
It is. To get more than an hour hearing time, you're looking at least 6 weeks, minimum.
Yeah, unbelievable. Kene, always killing it on this show. You got to come back here soon. How's that?
That sounds great.
Good deal. Great to see you as always. If you have any sort of questions about divorce or child custody, the tax disputes. Kene's your man, 321-282-1055. One very quick break here. When we return, let's talk criminal law, DUI, and battery. A little bar fight happens, right? I barely pushed the guy. Can I go to jail for that? Can I be charged with battery? Corey Cohen's up next to answer that question and more as Behind the Law continues. Are you worried about your student loan payments? I don't blame you. The great news for you is now we have more options than ever. Go to our website, youhavepower.com, to find out what options may exist for you and your student loans. If you own a house, you can imagine the roof is probably the most important part of your house. You see a leak, this is a very bad day for you. We have a lot of bad roofing companies out there. We call them storm chasers, in fact. Universal Roofing Contracting joins me. Justin, Corey, you guys are not storm chasers. You've been around for many, many years in this market, and really the best in the business, and Hall of Fame guest for me as well. What I've done, though, is I put a QR code on the screen for you. All you have to do is scan your phone on the QR code, and we're getting 15% off free roof inspection. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so it's a 15% off a full roof replacement. We do offer free inspections. What you do is you just give us a call, schedule an appointment. We will show up on time as scheduled, provide a free full point inspection, share photos with you, and let you know exactly what you're looking at, what your options are, and decide which path to walk you down. But ultimately, we're going to approach roofing whatever serves you the best.
A lot of people are in this black hole of fighting with their insurance company, their attorney, the public adjuster, whatever, and literally have a tarp on their roof for 2-3 years sometimes while everyone fights it out. The roof is important. If you don't address your roof issue now, damage can occur in your house. What can happen?
Oh, I mean, mold is probably one of the biggest. We have homeowners that have to move out of their property for months at a time just to get the mitigation done of the mold. So if you're seeing any of those brown spots in the ceiling, if you see a missing shingle in the yard, granule loss, any of those are great reasons for us to come do an inspection and kind of get ahead of that, making sure that you're not going to have those kind of issues.
When it comes to roofing, I think that trust is maybe the most important part of hiring a great roofing company. Why do I trust Universal Roofing Contracting?
Family-owned, veteran-owned, 3 decades in your own backyard, community roofer. Any other reasons are good as the next one. It's just we serve the community. We wear our consultant's hat first, but we're just there to serve and take care of you the best way.
Football team coming to town, I heard?
Yeah. The Orlando Guardians. We just became the official roofing partner of the new Orlando Guardians XFL team. We're super happy about that. Looking forward to a great season.
Love Absolutely. You guys. Do yourself a favor. Need a new roof? There's only one place. It's Universal Roof and Contracting. And as always, we wrap it up today with what did we learn? Michaela Nichols, what did you learn?
I learned a lot, honestly. I never want to get pulled over to begin with, but if I did, I feel like I really have to work on not opening my mouth because I feel like I would be that person.
Are you saying you have a big mouth?
Yeah, my mom calls me the singing canary. So, really? She wants to get a little tattoo of one on her foot for
singing
me.
Canary for you? Yeah, don't do that, please.
Yeah.
I learned that you are actually, and this is surprising to me, still nervous if you see a police officer. I thought you were like, I'm Michaela Nichols. I don't care. I'll speed right by you.
No, because I respect them, and I don't want to be doing something wrong. So.
Are you surprised that I am respectful and scared when I see a cop on the side of the road?
No, I think that's a normal thing. I think if you see the blue lights, you're like, oh crap, yikes.
I love it. Excellent job as always, Michaela, and thank you for joining us as always this week, and we'll see you again next weekend for more Behind the Law.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Have you been threatened by the IRS? You are not helpless. You have the power to fight wage garnishments and fight levies on your accounts. I'm Justin Clark. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life.